Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to set up for acid titration if you've never done it before, what products to buy, what quantities to buy, how to make up the chemicals, and then I'm going to show you how to actually conduct an acid titration test on a homemade vinegar. So what do you actually need to do an acid titration test on your vinegar? To start with, you need a vinegar sample. You also need distilled water. Not just, although I've written water, you need distilled water. Don't use tap water, especially don't use tap water if it has chlorine in it. So you can get distilled water from the supermarket. You need 3 drops of a phenolphthalein indicator, which is a 1% solution. You need 3 milliliters of sodium hydroxide, also a 1% solution. You then need 2 3ml syringes and a 20ml syringe, and you need a glass beaker or a glass, even a drinking glass will do, as long as it's clean, with about a 50 to 100ml capacity. First, let's look at the chemicals. Phenolphthalein solution, or phenolphthalein indicator solution, generally you buy at a chemist supply place. So if you have any connections with schools, or you could possibly find it on eBay or Amazon, I'm not sure. I found mine on Trade Me, which is the New Zealand version of it. I made a mistake though. I bought a 1 litre bottle. You only need 3 drops at a time. So I purchased enough to last me 7 lifetimes. And I'll show you how to make that a lot easier on yourself. So if you're buying this, you only need to buy 30 to 50 mils. So say 1 or 2 ounces of the phenolphthalein indicator. Then we have this. Caustic soda, also known as lye, also known as sodium hydroxide. This is readily available in hardware stores. It's used for making soap, used as a drain cleaner, it's used as all sorts of things. So in this video, I'm going to refer to the dry crystals as lye, and I will refer to the diluted sodium hydroxide solution as sodium hydroxide, just for your information. So this is a 500 gram container, or just over a pound, quite cheap at the hardware store. You don't even need this much, but this is how that comes. Then you have your distilled water. Now this is just, excuse me, I'll just do this. This is just a 6 litre bottle that I bought from the supermarket, readily available. As I say, don't use tap water, just use distilled water. Now I've already decanted it out into what we're going to need for this exercise. Now, as anybody who works in the sciences or in anything to do with chemicals, protection, we are working with lye. Lye burns. Lye can be quite dangerous. So what you can't see is, and you're not going to see, is I am wearing some glasses. I don't have a mask on because that will make talking rather mumbly, but I am going to put some gloves on now. So now my hands are going to look like Smurfs. When you're working with lye, for safety's sake, always work with the dries first while your hands are dry. Then you pour out your liquid, and then you add your dry to your liquid. Always add your dry to your liquid. Now, to make this, we need to make a solution. Now, this is in metric for a very good reason, because we're working with whole numbers, and it's easy and it's precise. So today I'm going to make just a little 125 ml jar. So that's what this is. I've already labelled it, as you can see. But if you were doing a lot of testing, then you could make a 1 litre, 1,000 grams, and use 40 grams of lye. But this method that I use only uses 3 millilitres of the solution. So 125 mils is still going to last you a very long time. So that's what we're going to make today. Now, for those of you who don't use the metric system, you might be asking, why, what are the measurements? Well, there's a reason that I'm saying to use metric. And that's because this is what it looks like in imperial. 32 ounces of water, 37.84 grams. Now that's quite an awkward number. Now you'll see I've highlighted one in red. This is the only one that works nicely. Although if you did 12 ounces, it would be half an ounce. So 12 fluid ounces of water, 28.35 grams. Now 28.34 grams is 1 ounce. So 24 ounces of water to 1 ounce of lye crystals. That is the only measurement that works nicely compared to every single one of these. So we're going to do it in metric, and we're making the 125 gram to 5 gram. To do this, I highly recommend a set of precision scales because we are only working with small amounts. I'm just going to bend the camera down so you can see that clearly. There we go. So we need 5 grams of lye. Excuse me while I try and get the lid off. There we go. And in my lye container, I use a plastic teaspoon, so that way there is no possible chemical reaction. So we want 5 grams. Now, just a further note on this lye, it is the 98% stuff. So you'll often find it being sold for 98% pure, and that's the stuff you want. Bingo. So we don't need that container of lye anymore. We will take this off and we will keep it well away from water. So now we're going to measure out 125 grams of water, which is the same as 125 mils, but because one is in grams, we need to measure the other in grams. So I'm going to very carefully pour this because I know it's going to be very full. So this is my distilled water. Right, there we go. So now we do the fun part. We're going to add in our powder. So when you're doing this section, because if you put a little bit of water into the lye, it will heat up incredibly and you can burn yourself. So always add the dry ingredient, the dry lye, into the water because the excess water will cool the lye and prevent it from burning you. It's safer. trust me on this, it is safer. So we're going to very carefully, my fingers are damp, so I'm going to dig out the spoon out of my lye container right now, because that is definitely safer than what I was about to do. So just adding a little bit at a time. So now what we're going to do, we're going to put the lid of this bottle on and we are going to give it a shake. And we are now aiming to dissolve the crystals, the granules, in that water. So see them all there? So this should be a clear liquid when it's done. So we're going to let that sit for a few minutes to soften the crystals that are still whole at the bottom. And then we'll shake it again. While that's sitting, we are going to deal with the phenolphthalein. As I said, 1 litre. Way too much to deal with. So I bought a brand new essential oil bottle with an eyedropper. We only need 3 drops of phenolphthalein per test. So buying a 1 litre bottle, even just using a syringe, is just really hard. So I figured if I decant it into this, I can fill this up easily when I need it, but at least it takes up a lot less space. I can label it and we'll go from there. So that's what we're going to do. Now this, you use a single-use syringe. This will get thrown away after you've done with it, because everything you touch now that has that indicator, the sodium hydroxide solution, now looks purple. So that's why if you were to try and reuse the syringe on anything, even if you've washed it really carefully, you'll end up with everything looking purple. So we don't want that. So all we're going to do is just carefully draw up some of the, and just put it into the bottle. And yes, I'm making a mess because I'm good at that. Put the lid on. And so now we have a usable format for a phenolphthalein, rather than having a crap. My beehive has just swarmed. Yep, my beehive has swarmed. I'm going to have to wait till they settle somewhere, don my bee suit, go out and collect them. Only downside is I hurt my back yesterday, which is why I'm not working today. So this is going to be entertaining. So I'm just going to wait till they're settled. In the meantime, sorry to interrupt this broadcast, we will return to the original program. As for our equipment that we need to do this, we've now got our sodium hydroxide, 1% solution. We've got our phenolphthalein. We need 20 mils of distilled water. We need 3 mils of our sodium hydroxide, and we need 2 mils of our vinegar. Now these syringes, I like to use 2 different colour syringes. They're both 3 mil syringes, but I use different colour ones. I use this browny orangey one for the vinegar, and I use the clear one for the sodium hydroxide. That way I'll never get the chemicals mixed up. These ones here I got from my local veterinarian. These ones here I got from the local GP. These are used for making up, actually I got them from my father. They give them out for people who need liquid, small amounts of liquids, certain liquids. So this was for sirolimus. My father had a liver transplant, so he was immunosuppressed. So they gave him sirolimus, so I've got a load of these. And a 20ml syringe you can buy from your local pharmacy, chemist, or veterinarian again. So those are the 3 syringes I use. So a 20ml syringe and 2 3ml syringes. Right, let's get ourselves set up. Right, let's begin. I have drawn up 2 millilitres of an apple cider vinegar that I made. So we're going to put that straight into our beaker. So that's 2 mils of vinegar. Then we add in 20 mils of distilled water. Then we add in 3 drops, excuse me, of the phenolphthalein. So 1, 2, 3. We give it a quick stir. And then we've got 3 mils of the indicator solution. All we do is we add 1 drop at a time, stirring between drops, and we're waiting for the liquid to go that magenta pink, that colour there that you see, and stay there. So I'm just doing this by hand. If you've got a magnetic stirrer, I do have one, but there's no power cord close to the table where I'm working today. So I'm just doing it by hand. It's not difficult though, as you can see. Just very slowly on the plunger of the syringe, 1 drop at a time. See how it's starting to take the pink just a little bit longer to disappear now? We're nearly there. That took quite a... There we are. That's what we're looking for. Right, so now, what we have to do now is a little bit of maths, not much. So we have to work out how much we used. So this was a 3 ml syringe, and we've got 1.7 mils left. So we've used 1.3 mils. All you do is go 1.3 times 3. So 3.9%. That is my acidity. So I have a 3.9% acetic acid. So if you have 100 mils of vinegar, 3.9 mils is acetic acid. So that's what we're measuring, is whereas pH measures how acidic or how alkali something is, this measures the actual volume of acetic acid in the bottle. So it's like alcohol by volume, acid by volume, you could say. So this tells you the strength, how strong the acid is. So if it was a 20% acidity, then out of every 100 mils of bottle or of vinegar, 20 mils of that is acid. So that's exceptionally strong. So this is we've just used 1.3 mils of sodium hydroxide solution. You multiply that by 3, and that gives you 3.9% acidity. And that really is all there is to it. That is how you do acid titration at home. Pretty colour too.